Assalamu alaikum. Bonjour. Ciao. Konnichiwa. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's Ken at 10. Namaste. How are you? You doing well? Hope you are. If you haven't been before, welcome. And if you come back, then thank you so much for coming back. This is Ken at 10, broadcasting every weekday from our offices in Southwest London. We are James Alexander Estate Agents in an area called Norbury. Where's Norbury? I hear you cry. It's SW16 London, and it's situated directly between Streatham and Croydon. We're a Zone 3 commuting area with some lovely people. So if you hadn't considered it before and you're thinking of buying or renting, then you should come and see us. Drop us a DM, whatever way is your preferred method. A couple of bits of good news today. They think it's all over. Well, it is now. The European Super League is gone. Thank goodness for that, huh? Derek Chauvin charged. Good news. So good news so far today. The number 71 will come into the show later, and I'll tell you what that's all about at the end of the report. But that's an important number, and it will become more important as it reduces. Now, what's going on in the property world? First of all, Rightmove data has revealed a spring surge. Well, who knew? Rightmove has reported that nearly 25% of UK homes that found a buyer in March had been on the market for less than a week. Tim Bannister noted that some of the froth is likely to come off the spring surge later in the year as the challenging economic conditions come to the fore and some of the government support to individuals and businesses unwinds and stamp duty holidays finally end in England and Wales, that cliff edge. We'll come back to that in a moment. He stated once the vaccine rollout gets into its later stages, I would expect to see a good number of properties hit the market as people look to get on with selling. That's the thing, isn't it? The unwinding, that's the unknown bit, and something, that feel-good factor of, yes, we can do stuff. Let's move house. Let's do X, Y, or Z. Interesting one today as well. We spoke yesterday about the new 95% schemes coming out for first-time buyers, underwritten by the UK government. And on top of that, we've now had, and by the way, this is not financial advice, seek independent financial advice if you want mortgage advice. But an interesting article came out today in the Daily Mail, and this is regarding the Nationwide. And they've now said they've got a new first-time buyer scheme called a Helping Hand scheme, and it's to be launched on the 26th of April. And basically, Henry Jordan of the Nationwide commented, we're very conscious that affordability and raising a deposit are the two major barriers to home ownership for first-time buyers. Very true. The Helping Hand option supports borrowers in meeting the affordability requirements, making it easier for them to buy a home. Now, I looked this up, and the salary multiple that they'll allow under the Helping Hand mortgage is 5.5. which is 1 times more than the average. So that's very good news if you're finding affordability tight on your salary multiples. Because the one thing about these salary multiples that I've always found really frustrating is most of our tenants seem to manage to make the equivalent of a mortgage payment on a monthly basis, but their salary multiples don't stack up that they can actually do it. So therefore, we know they can do it. They've been doing it for years. And you'd think these days with the open banking now going on, that lenders could look at this and say, hey, they've been paying £1,500 a month for the past X years. Why can't we then accept that as an affordable figure for them, regardless of their income situation? But it is what it is. But no doubt, it's good news, seeing a bit of confidence come back to the market. Lenders start to ease their controls a little bit, start to say, hey, how can we give a little bit back to help the market move on? Because it's in everybody's interest that first-time buyers get onto the ladder. I've said this before, but it's really important. I think it's underestimated the amount that first-time buyers drive the market, because if that second timer doesn't leave the flat to get to the house, then we're really reliant on a very small sector, the buy-to-let sector, and those that can afford to let to buy, that is, let their own to buy another one. Now, again on mortgages, and this is another article from the Mail, brokers say borrowers who deferred mortgage payments face extra questions when they come to apply for a new mortgage. You remember we were told that wouldn't happen, weren't we? If you defer, you take a mortgage holiday, it won't affect your credit score, it won't impact on you borrowing money. Well, now there are extra questions. Who knew? We said it would happen at the time, and sure enough, it's happened. It's not fair, but it's happened. The chief executive, Mark Harris of mortgage broker SPF, commented, the misleading wording on mortgage application deferrals with the use of the word holiday did not help borrowers understanding of what they were actually doing, noting that those who availed of such holidays may not have actually required one, nor did they realize, most importantly, the consequences of doing so. And this is because a lot of the hype around what the government was saying is, oh, don't worry, if you need to take a mortgage holiday, it won't be counted against you. We've made sure of that. Well, I'm afraid you can't make sure of what private companies do, particularly banks, in terms of their criterion, and it's coming back to bite people on the butt. So that's unfortunate and sad to see. Now, on the letting side, let's talk a little bit about rent controls. The Telegraph's got an article about are rent controls a good idea for London. Now, we've got Sadiq Khan, the Labour candidate, and the Green Party, Sean Berry, both advocating rent controls. Whenever rent controls have been added historically, they cause problems with the market rather than solving any problem. And that's for a number of reasons. And the Telegraph says they're looking at what rent controls could mean for London's property market. Campaigners say rent controls would lower the cost of living in the capital and provide immediate protection and relief for tenants. But some have warned such measures could in fact force tenants to pay more for housing in the capital, because of course once you link rents to a certain measurement in terms of increases, then those measurements will come every year, and many landlords don't necessarily increase their rents annually. So that is a very interesting point. Ben Beadle of the National Residential Landlords Association, this is a trade body that we're a member of, added, the story of rent controls wherever they have been introduced is that they exacerbate an already serious shortage of homes. And that's for two reasons. Number one, if people that are thinking of doing buy-to-let don't have the freedom to set their own rents, then that's a restrictive practice, and any restrictive practice can take away profit, and where any profit is taken away, after all, this is a business, then they're less likely to buy in the first place. If they're less likely to buy, supply will go down. If supply goes down, then unfortunately the demand for properties is unquenched by the available stock, and therefore we start to see huge pressure on rents. If you restrict them, and then you start, how do you start with that restriction? Do you currently go with current levels? And if so, that will mean huge rent increases for many tenants that have been renting for years. Or, you know, how exactly would you do that, and how would you police it? For me, I think it's the worst thing that could happen to London, and I don't think it's going to help Londoners renting property. Yeah, if you want to help people, then you should be doing what they're already doing with the mortgage side of things. And also in terms of rental, make more stock available, make it more attractive for landlords to acquire properties so that there's more supply. If there's more supply, then the laws of supply and demand mean that rents will fall. So for me, that's the key. But that's just a personal opinion. Hey, so apart from that, the weather here in SW16 is sunny and bright. We're looking forward to a good one. We've got several valuations backing up today, and lots of pressure. Now, I said I'd come back to the number 71. What was all that about? There are 71 days left until the end of June, when the stamp duty deadline number 1 ends. 71 days. Sounds like a long time, doesn't it? But in fact, it's not. If you look at the average transaction time versus 71 days, if you're thinking of making a house purchase in the UK, you don't have much time left. So we're going to be counting this down from day to day, right up through, and letting you know what's happening with the marketplace. But we've been now saying for some time that anyone that's selling property needs to have that hard discussion with the borrower, with the agent, with the buyer and the agent straight away. And they should be discussing with them, you know, is this deadline important to you? If you don't get in by the end of June, are you still proceeding with the transaction? Because we need to understand, A, whether the vendor, the owner that is, can make that deadline, and B, whether it's feasible, practical, and likely that the purchaser will make that deadline, because there are lots of hurdles to jump through, not least the fact that all mortgage brokers are busy, all mortgage lenders are busy, all solicitors are busy, and so on. And of course, you're reliant on chains quite often as well, and on your vendor, the seller of that property, finding their own, and perhaps what the chain circumstances are above them. Further complications, leasehold packs. You know, if you've got a leasehold property and you're looking to sell that, the big pinch point is the leasehold inquiries. So it's a good idea to approach your managing agent and ask them for that inquiry pack. You will have to pay, sadly, for most of them anyway in the UK. Ask for that management pack so that you've got it to hand, so that when you get a buyer, you're one step ahead. And I've said this before, I'll say it again, you need a top quality estate agent, of course. You also need a top quality solicitor, and you need top quality mortgage advice to make sure you're getting a lender that can make that deadline, because it's very, very tight now. It's possible, it's doable, but you need good advice and strong people, strong professionals behind you to make it happen. So that's it for Ken at 10 today. I hope you have a fantastic day, and we'll be back same time tomorrow with another edition. Until then, stay safe, look after your friends and family, and have a fantastic day.